Hello, guys. I am Miguel Sanchez, and I'm finally back. After 5 days in Arizona, I'm finally back home, ready to bring some more videos for you guys. Welcome to episode 14 of Movie History, Walt Disney Animation Studios. And boy, we got a great show for you guys to go today, because today we're about to send you to a place where you can fly. You can fly. You can fly. That's right. We're sending you off to London for our next movie from Disney. It's time to take a look at Disney's 14th animated feature film, and that's what we're doing here on episode 14. So, guys, if you're ready for this, so am I, because this is gonna be good. Yes, we're finally back to making videos for you guys to go today, so without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to episode 14 of Movie History, Walt Disney Animation Studios, and today we are taking a look at Peter Pan. Oh my gosh, get ready, guys, it's gonna be a blast! Better than the rest. So, here we go, guys. For those who haven't seen a previous episode, go check it out. Episode 13 was uploaded more than a week ago. It was about Alice in Wonderland, so go check it out. Put a link up there on the top right corner of the screen so you can check out the video and watch it however you want. But right now, all things must come to a start. Are you ready for today's episode? Great! Then here we go. So about the movie. Peter Pan is a 1953 American animated adventure fantasy film produced by Walt Disney Productions and based on the 1904 play Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up, by J.M. Barrie. Directed by Clyde Jeremy, Hamilton Luske, and Wilfred Jackson, is the 14th Disney animated feature film, starring the voices of Bobby Driscoll, Catherine Beaumont, Hans Conried, Paul Collins, Heather Angel, and Bill Thompson. The film's plot involves a group of kids who meet Peter Pan and about to travel to the island of Neverland to stay young, where Peter also attempts to evade Captain Hook. The film was entered into the 1953 Cannes Film Festival and was originally released on February 5th, 1953 by RKO Radio Pictures. Peter Pan was the final Disney animated feature released through RKO before Walt Disney founded his own distribution company, as well as was the final Disney film in which all 9 members of Disney's 9 men worked together as directing animators. A sequel titled Return to Neverland was released in 2002, and a series of direct-to-DVD prequels produced by Disney Studios focusing on Tinkerbell began in 2008. Rest in peace, Disney Studios. Besides, the studio went defunct 3 years ago at the time of this recording. So rest in peace, my friend. Sorry, my friend. But going into the stats for the movie, directed by Clyde Jeremy, Wilfred Jackson, and Hamilton Luske, produced by Walt Disney, story by Milt Banta, Bill Cottrell, Winston Hibbler, Bill Pete, Erdman Panpetter, Joe Rinaldi, Tess Sears, and Ralph Wright, based on Peter and Whitney by J.M. Barrie, starring Bobby Driscoll, Catherine Beaumont, Hans Conried, and Paul Collins, narrated by Tim Conway, music by Oliver Wallace, production companies Walt Disney Productions, distributed by RKO Radio Pictures, released February 5th, 1953 in the United States. Running time is 77 minutes. Country, United States. Language is English. Budget is $4 million. And the box office, $87.4 million. Wow, that's a lot of money. Yeah, let's get to the plot. Yeah, a big one. In London, England, circa 1900, George and Mary Darling's preparations to attend a party are disrupted by the antics of their boys, John and Michael, who are acting out a story about Peter Pan. Wendy, their elder sister, tells them stories of Peter Pan every night. George, who is fed up with the stories, declares Wendy has gotten too old to continue staying in the nursery with the boys. That night, Wendy and the boys are visited in the nursery by Peter Pan himself, who teaches them to fly with the unwilling help of his pixie friend, Tinkerbell. He takes them with him to the island of Neverland. A ship of pirates is anchored off Neverland, led by Captain Hook and his first mate, Mr. Smee. Hook desires to take revenge upon Peter Pan for cutting off his hand, but fears the crocodile who consumed the hand, knowing it is eager to eat the rest of him. When Pan and the Darlings arrive, he shoots at them with a cannon, and Peter sends the Darlings off to safety while he baits the pirates. Tinkerbell, who is jealous of Pan's attention to Wendy, persuades the Lost Boys that Pan has ordered them to shoot down Wendy. Tinkerbell's treachery is soon found out, and Peter banishes her. John and Michael set off with the Lost Boys to find the island's Indians, who instead captured them, believing them to be responsible for taking the chief's daughter, Tiger Lily. Meanwhile, Peter takes Wendy to see the mermaids, but they flee in terror when Hook arrives on the scene. Peter and Wendy see that Hook and Smee have captured the Tiger Lily to force her to disclose Peter's hideout. Peter frees her and returns her to the chief, and the tribe honors Peter. Hook then plots to take advantage of Tinkerbell's jealousy of Wendy, tricking her into revealing Peter's lair location. Wendy and her brothers eventually grow homesick and plan to return home. They invite Peter and the Lost Boys to return to London and be adopted by the Darling parents. The Lost Boys agree, but Peter doesn't want to grow up and refuses. The pirates lie in wait and capture the Lost Boys and the Darlings as they exit the lair, leaving behind a time bomb to kill Peter. Tinkerbell lures of the plot just in time to snatch the bomb from Peter as it explodes. Peter rescues Tinkerbell from the rubble, and together they confront the pirates, releasing the children before they can walk the plank. Peter engages Hook in combat as the children fight over the crew. Peter defeats Hook, who falls into the water and swims away over the horizon. Pursued by the crocodile, Peter commandeers the deserted ship and, assigned by Tinkerbell's pixie dust, flies into London with the children aboard. However, the Lost Boys decide to return to Neverland with Peter rather than be adopted in London. George and Mary Darling return home from the party and find Wendy sleeping at the nursery's open window. Wendy awakens and excitedly tells about their adventures. The parents look out the window and see what appears to be a pirate ship in the clouds. George, who has softened his position about Wendy staying in the nursery, recognizes the ship from his own childhood. Man, that's a great plot. I really love it. Let's go to the cast. Bobby Driscoll as Peter Pan, the boy who never grows up. Like Tinkerbell, Peter can be very hot-headed. He is also commanding, but very brave. Peter can be quite mean at times, for instance, laughing at Wendy as the mermaids naturally tease her. But despite this, he is scary, especially when it comes to Tinkerbell's safety. He finds enjoyment in fighting Captain Hook and was responsible for the loss of Hook's left hand. He was modeled by Ronald Dupree. Tinkerbell, a hot-headed pixie/fairy, and Peter Pan's closest friend. She is very envious of the relationship formed between Wendy and Peter, having Wendy nearly stoned to death and eventually to even tell Captain Hook of Pan's hideout after being tricked into thinking Hook's intention is to capture Wendy and not Peter. When she realizes she has done, she tries to warn Peter of a bomb that Hook has left for him that is addressed as if for Wendy and for a present. But Peter would not hear of it, and she manages to push the bomb away from him at the very moment it explodes, thus saving Peter's life while almost costing her own. When Peter searches for her desperately in the ashes, she reflects a change of attitude toward Wendy and tells how. Let me try again. In the ashes, when it explodes. When Peter searches for her desperately in the ashes, she reflects a change of attitude towards Wendy and the boys, telling Peter he must rescue them first from Captain Hook's ship. However, Peter says that he cannot leave her and tells her how much he loves her. Toward the end, Tinkerbell helps the Darling children return home by sprinkling pixie dust all across the pirate ship that Peter had just inherited, which is renamed Captain Pan. Although Tinkerbell never speaks, the animators use Margaret Carey as a model to help them draw her movements. Can't believe that Tinkerbell is speechless in the film. How could you? Catherine Beaumont as Wendy Darling. At 12 years old, she is the eldest of the Darling children. For Dora Peter Pan, her moody father forces her to move her out of the nursery so that she may mature. She is a very feminine character with somewhat motherly care for others. She reminds the Lost Boys of their own mothers. She is the first of the Darling children to ask to return home. She has a soft spot for Peter and envies the attention he pays Tiger Lily. And she has a reason to dislike Tinkerbell, who calls her a big, ugly girl out of explicit jealousy, but consider her lovely. She has a very tame personality, wanting the best for everyone and grudging no one. When the mermaids tease her nastily, she worries about the danger of their teasing more than their nastiness itself. She is naive, wise, and mature, and very trusting and faithful to her stance of conscience. Man. If I love Wendy so much, then, guys, you're the gel. She is the best. Moving on, Tommy Lusk as Michael Darling, the youngest of the three Darling children, who is about 4 years old. He carries a teddy bear and is very sensitive. He is clumsy, yet very playful. Heather Angel as Mary Darling, the Darling children's mother. She is much calmer and more understanding of her daughter's stories that her husband is, even though she takes them with a pinch of salt, saying Peter Pan is the spirit of youth. When her husband is overwhelmed by frustration at the children, she tries to soothe them, and later on assures the children that their father does not really mean what he says when he is angry, and he truly loves them very much, which is true. She's a wise, lovely woman and kind at heart. Nana, Nana, the darling's nursemaid, a Saint Bernard dog, or was she a Newfoundland dog? She is an unnatural dog, taking care of the darling children and cleaning up after their continuous messes. She is very efficient at her work and possesses much tolerance for the messes. She is a family's favorite pet, so much that separating her from the children for one night was considered a great punishment. She only barks and is musically represented by the bassoon. Oh man, I love it. Hans Conried as two different characters. We have Captain Hook, a pirate captain who seeks revenge on Pan for having his left hand chopped off and fed to the crocodile in a battle. He is a dangerous villain, though completely dependent on his personal assistant, Mr. Smee, and also very, very childish in his fear of the crocodile. And the other character we have is George Darling, the Darling children's father. He is a very moody and dramatic figure. In the beginning of the film, he is called a practical man. He is frustrated by Wendy telling the boys imaginary tales about Peter Pan, himself already easily irritated and easy to enrage with the mere mention of Peter. And in a moment of frustration, he demands that Wendy move out of the boys' room, saying she has to grow up. However, in a calmer moment at the end of the film, he changes his mind about Wendy's stories. He later remarks having seen a pirate ship such as Peter's when he was very young himself. In contrast to his moody outbursts, he is gentle at heart. When he punishes the children by taking Nana the dog outside, he feels so sorry for her and comforts her. Conrad, doing both characters' voice, is a nod to the stage play tradition of the actor, also playing Hook and also playing Mr. Darling. Wow. That's a whole lot of fun. Moving on, we have the crocodile. A crocodile who was swallowed by... who was swallowed an alarm clock and is after the remains of Hook. Pan had cut off Hook's hand and thrown it into the crocodile, causing him to acquire a taste for Hook, and thus followed him ever since. Its character was later known as Tick-Tock the Croc. Wow. Yeah. Wait, you go, Tick-Tock. Then we have the Lost Boys. Pan's right-hand boys, dressed as various animals. Their names are Slightly in the fox costume, voiced by Stuffy Singer, Cubby in the bear costume, voiced by Barbara Ellis, Nibs in the rabbit costume, voiced by Jeffrey Silver, Tittles in the skunk costume, who never speaks, and the twins in the raccoon costumes, voiced by Johnny McGovern. Their origin remains a mystery in the movie, especially since they claim to have once had mothers of their own. They are very savage boys who get into fights easily with each other, but when they have a common goal to attain, they ask one. Tony Patella provides their singing voices. So all the Lost Voices, all Lost Boys do speak, but except for Toodles, who is speechless. Yeah, Toodles is another speechless character, just like Tinkerbell. So now you know. Jude Foray, Connie Hilton, Karen Kester, and Margaret Kelly as the mermaids, who are Peter's friends and are very interested in his heroic stories of himself. They are resentful of Wendy and try to drown her. Although Peter insists they are only having fun, they are frightened away by when Captain Hook is rowing nearby. The mermaids appear to be in their mid-teens, with very womanly exposed bodies, resembling women in two-part bathing suits. Yeah, that's more like it. Tiger Lily is the Indian chief's beautiful daughter, who like most women on the island, is attracted to Peter. She does not speak save to call for help, and her voice is uncredited. Oh no, her voice is uncredited voice in the film. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. June Foray, Candy Catico as the chief of the Indians. Despite his fierce look, he is a kind and well-meaning leader. Apparently, he has fought the Lost Boys before, having note that both his people and the Lost Boys have won and lost several times in combat. Then we have June Foray as the Indian Squaw. She only appears twice in one scene, each time ordering Wendy to get firewood while everyone else celebrates Peter Pan's honor for the tribe, calling her Squaw. Yes. Todd Conway as the narrator, whose voice is heard only at the beginning of the film. I'm sorry about that, people. And then we have the middlemen, Thurl, and finally we have the middlemen, Thurl, Ravenscroft, Bill Lee, Bob Stevens, and Max Smith, as the Pirates, Chorus, and the Indians. And that's it for the cast of the film. Let's move on to the production. And it's going to be a big one. I forgot to mention Mrs. Smee. How could you? I forgot to mention Mrs. Smee's voice, but I didn't get it in, so sorry for the people. But anyways, move on to the production. In 1935, Walt Disney expressed interest in doing an adaptation of Peter Pan, his second film following Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which I already talked about on episode 1, so keep that to watch. However, the live-action film rights were held by Paramount Pictures. The copyright owner, the Hospital for Sick Children in London, unsuccessfully offered to have Disney make an agreement with Paramount. However, in January 1939, Disney obtained the animation rights to the play by outbidding Fleischer Studios, which was also developing animated feature films. By 1939, a story reel had been completed, and by the following May, Disney had several animators in mind for the characters. Vladimir Titula was considered for the pirates. Nora Ferguson for the dogs, Nora Ferguson for the dog, Nana, who also animated Pluto, and Fred Moore for Tinkerbell. During this time, Disney explored many possible interpretations of the story. In the earliest version, the film would start by telling Peter Pan's backstory. But during a story meeting on May 20th, 1940, Disney said we ought to get right into the story itself, where Peter Pan comes to the house to get his shadow. That is where the story picks up. How Peter came to be is really another story. Disney also explored the idea of opening the film in Neverland with Peter Pan coming to Wendy's house to kidnap her as a mother for the Lost Boys. Eventually, Disney decided that the kidnapping plot was too dark, and he went back to Barry's original play, in which Peter comes to get his shadow, and Wendy is eager to see Neverland. Following the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, the U.S. military took control of the studio and commissioned Walt Disney Productions to produce training and war propaganda films. So pre-production work on Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland was shelved. And again, Alice in Wonderland was already discussed in the previous episodes, so get out and watch. However, the Bank of America allowed production to continue during the war. After the war, work on the film was resumed with Jack Kinney as director. At the time, Kinney had considered leaving Walt Disney Productions for the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer cartoon studio, but wartime restrictions prevented it. Because he did not want Kinney to get out of his contract, Disney appointed Kinney to direct Peter Pan. During the same time, Disney talked to Mary Martin, who was appearing in a stage production of the play, about voicing Peter Pan. Although Royal Disney complained that her voice was too heavy, short, and sophisticated, Gene Arthur contracted Walt about being considered for the role. Disney had also talked to Cary Grant about voicing Captain Hook, a possibility to which Grant replied that the idea intrigued him. Impatient with the delays, Disney asked Kinney to work on sequences consecutively rather than finishing the entire script before it was storyboarded, so that a scene would be approved at a morning story meeting and then immediately put into development. 6 months later, during a storyboard meeting, Kinney presented a 2.5-hour presentation, during which Disney sat silently and then stated, I've been thinking about Cinderella. Yeah, he's been thinking about Cinderella, but that's pretty much it. That's it for the production. So yeah, I know. Continue on. By 1947, Walt Disney Productions' financial health started to improve again. Around this time, Walt Disney acknowledged the need for sound economic policies, but emphasized to his financial bankers that slashing production would be suicidal. In order to restore the studio to full financial health, Disney expressed that his desire to return to producing full-length animated feature films. By then, 3 animated projects: Cinderella, which already discussed two episodes ago, Alice in Wonderland, which I already discussed in the previous episode, and Peter Pan, which I'm talking about in this episode, were in development. Disney felt the characters in Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan were too cold, but as Cinderella contained elements similar to those in Snow White, he decided to greenlight Cinderella. In May 1949, Variety reported that Peter Pan had been placed back into production. Uh-oh. No good, people. No good. The scene in the nursery went through many alterations. In one version, it is Mrs. Darling who finds Peter Pan's shadow and shows it to Mr. Darling, as in the original play. In another version of the film, Nana goes to Neverland with Pan and the Darling children, the story being told through her eyes. In another interpretation of the story, John Darling is left behind for the being too serious, practical, and boring. But story artist Ralph Wright convinced Disney to have John go with the others to Neverland. This adaptation also included Wendy bringing her Peter Pan picture book and Peter and the children eating an imaginary dinner. At one point, a party in Peter's hideout was conceived, at which Tinkerbell becomes humiliated and, in her rage, tells Captain Hook the location of Peter's hideout, of Peter Pan's hideout, of her own free will. However, Disney felt that this story was contrary to Tinkerbell's character. Instead, he had Captain Hook kidnapping Tinkerbell and persuading her to tell him. In Barry's play, Captain Hook puts poison in Peter's dose of medicine, and Tinkerbell saves Peter by drinking the poison himself, only to be revived by the applause of the theater audience. After much debate, Disney discarded the story development, fearing it would be difficult to achieve in a film. In earlier scripts, there were more scenes involving the pirates and mermaids that were similar to those with the dwarfs in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Ultimately, these scenes were cut for pacing reasons. The film concept was also a bit darker at one point that the finished product. For example, there were scenes involving Captain Hook being killed by the crocodile, the Darling family mourning over their lost children, and Pan and the children discovering the pirates' treasure loaded with booby traps. Uh-oh. So that's pretty much it. Everything you need to know right here. Let's go to the animation for live action reference. Start with live action reference. As with previous Disney animated features, a live action version was filmed to serve as an aid to animators, with the actors performing to a pre-recorded dialogue track. Margaret Kelly received a call to audition to serve as a live-action reference for Tinkerbell. For the live-action reference, Carrie said she had to hold out her arms and pretend to fly for all the scenes requiring it. Additionally, Carrie served as reference for one of the mermaids, along with Connie Hilton and June Foray. At the same time, the studio was looking for an actor to portray Peter Pan, for which Carrie suggested her dancing teacher, Ronald Dupree. He was interviewed and eventually won the role, providing a reference for the flying and action sequences. Bobby Driscoll also served as the live-action reference model for Peter Pan, although he was mainly used for the close-up scenes. Hans Connery completed the voice work over the course of a few days and served as the live-action reference for 2.5 years. He later did the same kind of thing with as a live-action reference for Princess Aurora's father, King Stefan in Sleeping Beauty, although he did not get the chance in voicing Stefan, as Taylor Holmes was given the task instead. In addition to being the voice role for and model for Alice in Wonderland, Catherine Beaumont, who was also the voice of Wendy, also performed for the live-action reference footage for Wendy. So yeah, there you go. And about Sleeping Beauty, again, will be on the future episodes. Keep an eye for it when it comes out. Please stay tuned. Moving on to character animation. Milt Call wanted to animate Captain Hook, but instead decided to animate Peter Pan and the Darling children. He claimed he was outmaneuvered. Oh boy, no good. During production, while animating Peter Pan, Call claimed that the hardest thing to animate was a character floating in midair. While observing the animation of Peter Pan, Walt Disney complained that the animators had left too many of Bobby Driscoll's facial features find their way into the character design. Tony Scott that, hey, with our T in parentheses, are too masculine, too old. There's something wrong there. Call replied, "You wanted to know what's wrong? What's wrong is that they don't have any talent in the place." The job of animating Captain Hook was assigned to Frank Thomas, who was facing conflicting visions of the character. Story artist and Penner viewed Hook as a very foppish, not strong, dandy type who loved all the finery. Kind of a con man. Co-director Jerry Geronimi saw him as an earnest Torrance, a mean, heavy sort of character who used his hook maniacally. When Walt Disney saw Thomas's first test scenes, he said, "Well, that last scene had something I like. I think you're beginning to get him. I think we better wait and let Frank go on a little further." Because Thomas could not animate every scene Hook, certain scenes were given to Wolfgang Reitherman, such as that showing Hook trying to escape TikTok the crocodile. Ollie Johnson animated Mr. Smee to best capture his comedic yet fear-ridden, the psychopathic personality. Johnson used a variation of the dwarf design from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and had Mr. Smee blink repeatedly. Johnson's former mentor, Fred Moore, worked in his unit as a character animator for Smee's minor scenes. Moore also animated The Mermaids and The Lost Boys. On November 22nd, 1952, Moore and his wife were involved in an auto accident on Mount Gleason Drive in Los Angeles. Moore died of a cerebral concussion the following day at St. Joseph's Hospital, across from the Disney Studios. Oh no. Moore. Poor Fred Moore. Yeah, we're gonna miss my friend. Moving on to the music. Frank Churchill wrote several songs for the film during the early 1940s, and Charles Walcott wrote additional songs in 1941. When work on Peter Pan resumed in 1944, Elliot Daniel composed songs for the film. However, this version of Peter Pan was shelved so the studio could complete Cinderella in April. Could complete Cinderella. Yeah. However, this version of Peter Pan was shelved so the studio could complete Cinderella. In April 1950, it was reported that Sammy Kahn and Sammy Fain were composing songs for Peter Pan. The incidental music score for the movie is composed by Oliver Wallace. That's the music. Let's move on to the soundtrack. The melody for The Second Star to the Right was originally written for Alice in Wonderland as part of a song to be titled Beyond the Laughing Sky. Some Disneyland issued compilations gave the title as Second Star to the Right. No the C. For example, 50 Happy Years of Disneyland Favorites, Disneyland Records. Stair-3513, Side 2. What made the Red Man became controversial because of its racist stereotypes of Native Americans. Never Smile at a Crocodile was cut from the movie soundtrack, but was included for the 1997 Walt Disney Records CD release. The song, with no lyrics, also appears in the Sing-Along Songs video series and the corresponding Canta con Nosotros title, where it is titled A repetir no hay que sonreír. Yeah. Nah, that's a lot of fun. Let's get to the songs. Start with the number, then title, writers, performers, and length. But unfortunately, there's no length for this. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the lengths for any of these. I couldn't find any runtime for all these songs, so let's get right to it. Number 1, The Second Star to the Right, written by Sammy Kahn for lyrics and Sammy Fain for music, performed by the Judd Conlon chorus and the Middleman. Number 2, You Can Fly, written by Sammy Kahn for the lyrics and Sammy Fain for the music, performed by the Judd Conlon chorus and the Middleman. Number 3, A Pirate's Life, written by Urban Penner for the lyrics and Oliver Wallace for the music, performed by the Middleman. Number 4, Following the Leader, written by Ted Sears and Winston Hibbler for the lyrics and Oliver Wallace for the music, performed by Paul Collins, Tommy Lusk, and the cast. Number 5, What Made the Red Man Red, written by Sammy Kahn for the lyrics and Sammy Fain for the music, performed by Candy Candido and the Middleman. Number 6, Your Mother and Mine, written by Sammy Kahn for the music and Sammy Fain for the music, performed by Catherine Beaumont. Number 7, The Elegant Captain Hook, written by Sammy Kahn for the lyrics and Sammy Fain for the music, performed by Haas Conreed, Bill Thompson, and the Middleman. Number 8, You Can Fly, reprise, written by Sammy Kahn for the lyrics and Sammy Fain for the music, performed by Judd Conlon, performed by the Judd Conlon chorus and the Middleman. And number 9, Never Swim Out a Crocodile, written by Jack Lawrence for lyrics and Frank Churchill for the music. Oh my gosh. Now that is a lot. We go on to the music releases. The 1997 soundtrack release contains the bonus tracks Never Smile at a Crocodile with lyrics and an early demo recording of the Boat Swings song. Man, that's so much I can't say about that. Moving on to the release, starting with the original theatrical run and re-releases. Peter Pan was first released in theaters on February 5th, 1953. During the film's first initial theatrical run, Peter Pan was released as a double feature with the true life adventures documentary short Bear Country. It was then re-released theatrically in 1958, 1969, 1976, 1982, and 1989. The film also had a special limited re-release at the Philadelphia Film Festival in 2003. It also played at a limited engagement in Celeste Cinemark theaters from February 16th to 18th, 2013. Man, that's a whole lot of fun. Moving over to home media, Peter Pan was first released on North American VHS, Laserdisc, and Betamax in 1990, and UK VHS in 1993. A THX 45th Anniversary Limited Edition of the film was released on March 3rd, 1998 as part of the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection. Peter Pan was released on DVD on November 23rd, 1999 as part of the Walt Disney Limited Issues series for a limited 60-day time period before going into the moratorium. Peter Pan was re-released as a special edition VHS and DVD released in 2002 to promote the sequel, Return to Neverland. The DVD was accompanied with special features, including a making-of documentary, a sing-along, a storybook, and a still-frame gallery of the production artwork. Disney released a 2-disc Platinum Edition DVD of the film on March 6, 2007. A Blu-ray Diamond Edition was released on February 3rd, 2013 to celebrate the movie's 60th anniversary. A DVD and digital copy of the Diamond Edition that was also released on August 20th, 2013. Peter Pan was released in digital HD format on May 29th, 2018, and on Blu-ray on June 5th, 2018, as part of the Walt Disney Signature Collection line to celebrate the film's 65th anniversary. Wow, that's a whole lot of fun, but now you know, that's pretty much it. Moving on to reception for the box office. During its initial theatrical run, Peter Pan grossed $6 million in distributor rentals from the United States and Canada. The movie has earned a lifetime domestic gross of $87.4 million. Adjusted for inflation and incorporating subsequent releases, the film has had a lifetime gross of $427.5 million. That's a lot of money. We go to the critical reception. Bosley Cromwell of the New York Times criticized the film's lack of faithfulness to the original play, claiming it has the story but not the spirit of Peter Pan, as it was plainly conceived by its author and is usually played on stage. Nevertheless, he praised the colors are more exciting and the technical features of the job, such as the synchronization of the voices with the animation of lips, are very good. However, Time gave the film a highly favorable review, making no reference to the changes from the original play. The Tiny of the Chicago Tribune wrote, "The backgrounds are delightfully picturesque. The music is only so-so. The film is designed for broad effect, with the accent of comedy. I'm sure the youngsters who grow up with cartoons will be right at home with all the characters." Variety described the film as a feature cartoon of enchanting quality. The music score is fine, highlighting the constant buzz of action and comedy, but the songs are less impressive than usually encountered in such a Disney presentation. Harrison's reports felt the film was another Walt Disney masterpiece. It should prove a delight, not only to children, but also to every adult. The animation is so good that the characters appear almost natural. Contemporary reviews remain positive, giving the film 3.5 stars out of 4. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune noted that the drawing of Tinkerbell, sick S-I-C, and the flamboyance of Captain Hook, as well as the quality of music mixed with appropriate animation, were the film's major highlights. Michael Jackson cited Peter Pan as his favorite film, and from it he derived the name of his estate, Neverland Ranch, in Santa Barbara, California, where he had a private amusement park. Ronald D. Moore, one of the executive producers of the reimagined Battlestar Galactica, has cited this film as the inspiration for the series' theme of the cyclical nature of time. Using the film's opening line, "All of this has happened before and will all happen again," as the key tenet of the culture's scripture. The review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes reported the film received an appropriate rating of an approval rating of 81% based on 36 reviews, with an average score of 7 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, though it doesn't delve deeply into the darkness of J.M. Barrie's tale, Peter Pan is a heartwarming, exuberant film with some great tunes. Well, that's a lot of fun. Moving on to the controversy. Peter Pan has been criticized in recent decades for its broadly stereotypical treatment of the Indians. In the song "What Made the Red Man Red," the Native Americans are called Injuns, and their skin color is attributed to blushing because of being kissed by women. Mark Davis is one of the supervising animators of the film, said in an interview years after the production that I'm not sure we would have done the Indians if we were making this movie now, and if we had, we wouldn't do them the way we did back then. The Native Americans were not included in the 2002 sequel Return to Neverland, but they were included in a tie-in video game. In 2021, the film was one of several that Disney limited to viewers 7 years and older on their streaming service Disney Plus, citing the depictions of Native American characters that were stereotypical and not authentic, and references to them as Redskins. Oh no. You know I hate Native Americans. How about you? I don't think so too. Moving on to Legacy, starting with Disney Fairies. And finally, our final segment, Legacy, starting with Disney Fairies. Disney Fairies is a series of children's books published by Brandon House, which features Tinkerbell and her friends. It also had a film series starring Tinkerbell, starting in 2008, with a self-titled film about Tinkerbell. In the theme parks, Peter Pan's Flight is a popular ride found at Disneyland, Walt Disney World, Tokyo Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, and Shanghai Disneyland. Peter Pan, Wendy, Captain Hook, and Mr. Sneed make appearances in the parades, as well as screens throughout the theme parks. Peter Pan, Wendy, Captain Hook, Mr. Sneed, and the Pirates were featured in a scene during Disneyland's original version of Fantasmic from 1992 to 2016. Then we have ice shows. Disney on Ice began its touring production of Peter Pan in fall 1989. The production went on to tour nationally and internationally from 1989 to 1993. The production featured a pre-recorded soundtrack with all the film's songs and character voices. A shortened version of the story is presented in the current Disney on Ice production, Mickey and Minnie's Amazing Journey. The show began in fall 2003 and is currently on tour nationally. It features the songs You Can Fly, Following the Leader, Your Mother and Mine, A Pirate's Life, The Elegant Captain Hook, and The Sex Starts to the Right. Next up, we have video games. Neverland is a playable world in both Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, where Tinkerbell appears as a summon. Peter Pan appears as a summon in the sequel, Kingdom Hearts 2. Neverland also appears as a playable world in Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2, and returns as a playable world in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. It's not 358/2 days, it is spelled 358 Days Over 2. Got it? Good. Now we have the board game. Walt Disney's Peter Pan, a game of adventure for 1953, is a Transogram Company Incorporated track board game based upon the film. The game was one of many toys that exploited the popularity of Walt Disney's post-World War II movies. The object of the game is to be the first player to travel from the Darling's house to Neverland and back to the Darling's house. Play begins at the Darling's house in the upper left-hand corner of the game board. Each player moves, in turn, the number of spaces along the track indicated by his spin of the dial. When a player reaches the dial, he selects a character from the film, Peter, Wendy, Michael, or John, and receives the instruction card for that character. The player follows his chosen character on the board, obeying instructions upon the character's card. The player is also obligated to follow any instructions those spaces he lands upon after spinning the dial during the course of his turn at play. The first player who travels from Neverland to Skull Rock and along the Stardust Trail to Captain Hook's ship and returns to the Darling's house is declared the winner. The board game makes an appearance in the 1968 version of Yours, Mine, and Ours as a Christmas present. Oh, man. Man. And there's no surprising as she... Yeah, forgot to put he or she. Yeah, forgot to put his or her. But that's pretty much it. Moving on to the musical. Disney's Peter Pan Jr. is a one-hour children's musical based on the Disney Peter Pan movie with some updated material. It became available for school and children theater productions in 2013, and after several pilot productions. Wow, no, that doesn't exist. Then we have sequels. This was Disney's first Peter Pan film. In the early 2000s, a Peter Pan franchise was spawned, involving a number of other animated releases. The franchise also included Peter Pan: Return to Neverland, released theatrically in 2002, a direct sequel to Peter Pan, the Tinkerbell film series, a spin-off and prequel to the Peter Pan films. Disney Studios produced a number of Tinkerbell films, including 6 feature-length straight-to-home video films and 2 shorts. The television series Jake and the Neverland Pirates includes Hook and Smee as main characters, as set in Neverland years after the events of the feature films. Oh my gosh! And finally, we're going to close it out with the live-action adaptation. In April 2016, following the individual financial and critical successes of Maleficent, Cinderella, and The Jungle Book, a number of live-action adaptations of Walt Disney Pictures' classic animated films were announced to be in development. The Walt Disney Company announced a live-action Peter Pan film was in development, with David Lowery serving as director, when a script he co-wrote with Toby Hallbrooks. In July 2018, it was reported that the feature-length film will be released exclusively on the company's streaming service, Disney Plus. It has since been said that the film may instead get a theatrical release. In January 2020, casting was underway while the film was retitled Peter Pan and Wendy. Joe Roth and Jim Whittaker will serve as producers. Principal photography was scheduled to commence on April 17, 2020 in Canada and in London, United Kingdom. By March, Alexander Bologna and Ever Anderson were cast as Peter Pan and Wendy, respectively. Later that month, however, filming on all Disney projects were halted due to the COVID-19 pandemic and industry restrictions worldwide. In July 2020, Jude Law entered early negotiations to portray Captain Hook and was officially cast 2 months later. Joaquin Phoenix, Adam Driver, and Will Smith were all previously on the short list of actors being considered for the role, though each of them ultimately passed on the opportunity. That's pretty much it. Though each of them ultimately passed on the opportunity. So pretty much it. In September 2020, Yara Shahidi was cast as Tinkerbell. In October 2020, Alyssa Wapanatak was cast in the role of Tiger Lily. In January 2021, Jim Gaffigan joined the film's cast as Mr. Smee on March 16, 2021. The same day that principal photography officially began, Alan Tudyk, Molly Parker, Joshua Pickering, and Jacob Juppe were announced to play Mr. Darling, Mrs. Darling, John Darling, and Michael Darling, respectively. In December 2020, it was announced that the film would be debuting on Disney Plus. Filming began on March 16th, 2021, in Vancouver, Canada, and is expected to wrap on June 30th, 2021. Peter Pan and Wendy is scheduled to be released on Disney Plus in 2022. And besides, at the time of this recording, filming already began 8 days ago. That's right, 1 week ago, filming began. And also, 1 week ago, Alan Tudyk, Molly Parker, Joshua Pickering, and Jacob Juppe joined the cast 1 year ago, 1 week ago today. Let's bury shit. But that's it, guys. That's it for Peter Pan. Yay! 5 out of rating for this character. 5 out of rating for the movie. Oh my gosh. Is it the best or is it the worst? I really love it so much, but in the end, you just got to tune in to see it, because I really love this movie, and boy, Peter Pan delivered it. It's a true story of heart, romance, and flights. No matter where you go, this movie will definitely make sure that you could never, ever grow up. So, honestly, once said, I'm rating Peter Pan with a score of 9 out of 10. Yay! That's amazing. It is an amazing movie. I really love it so much. Just as I expected, it is definitely one of the best. Good for you, Disney. You totally deserve it. That is one of my personal conservative opinion. Feel free to agree or disagree or any thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. However, all these discussed to that. So, yes, that's it. So, thank you for watching. Another episode of Movie History Walt Disney Animation Studios is done and dusted. Yay! Man, oh my gosh. Because of this, we have the Moshi Marshall League later on in the week. We'll have Season 1, Day 14 coming your way very soon. And tomorrow, my reading of Moshi Monsters the Movie, The Great Moshi Ad continues with Chapter 3, Main Street Madness, so don't go anywhere for that. But yes, later on we have Moshi Sleep Directions, episode 94. It's gonna be episode 94 is gonna be Vinny's Rumbling Slumbering Motorcycle, and then on episode 350 of Moshi Monsters Biography, we're gonna be taking a look at the Scarecrows. So don't be sad for that. But with that being said, I'm Because It's Sessions, you yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on movie history, Walt Disney Animation Studios. Join me next time for episode 15 as we take a look at the first ever motion picture to be presented in CinemaScope, Lady and the Tramp. That's right, you don't want to miss it. It's also the first ever Disney animated feature to be distributed by their own distribution company, Buena Vista Pictures Distribution, now called Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. So don't miss it. And now, his happiest motion picture, Walt Disney's Lady and the Tramp. That's what we're going to take a look at next time on Movie History, Walt Disney Animation Studios. So don't miss out. We hope you have a fantastic day. I hope to see you right back here again next time. So with that being said, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon for episode 15 as we take a look at Lady and the Tramp. Until next time, I'm Miguel Sanchez, reminding you to please remember to leave a like, share the video with your friends, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, turn on notifications to never miss a new video. Please subscribe with notifications to run to never miss another new video from me as we are on the road to 800 subscribers. Thank you all for watching. I love you all so much. We'll see you for Moshi Sleep Story Reactions and Moshi Monsters by Review later on today. Have a great day, guys. I'll be guys. Let's just sign off. God bless, happy gaming. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Like, favorite, subscribe. We'll see you in another video. Laters! Sorry. There we go. Thanks for watching. Like, favorite, subscribe. We'll see you in another video. Laters!